right there. There you go. Have a good meeting.
Good evening and welcome to the Thursday, July 27, 2023 Select Scituate Planning Board hearing. We're here in the select meeting room. We know all about Zoom and all that kind of stuff. Pretty soon we're not going to have to do that on the back. So it's 6:30 tonight. It's a continued public hearing. The agenda, I always forget. You're supposed to be getting this in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
What do you want to do? So we have a continued public hearing, a site administrative review of special permit for a mixed-use building and multi-family building, stormwater management, center in the York District, English Gateway District, English Village Center, Sub-District, Gateway Business Area, Sub-District, Southern of Yellow Terrace, Virgin Green, I'm not reading that. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi,
How is everybody? This is so tricky. I love this one, I know.
Oh, you can have it.
I love it.
We're all melting.
Wicked, let's see what that. Good evening. So where are
So having spoken with Darren, there was some submissions, I understand that John Chester is still in process doing that. And so what we're hopeful tonight is that answer any other questions that get clear for other things, obviously, comments, Darren, that you have something so that towards the next meeting, we'll be in a position to have findings of fact, conditions, walk through and hopefully the project voted through. So I don't know if there's anything, Greg, if you since the last time, if you want to.
No, I mean, since the last time we were here, we went to the Conservation Commission unanimously approved the project May 15th. Our most recent submittal was, I wasn't anticipating making any plan changes until we got the request from the fire department to pave the cul-de-sac at the end of McDonald Terrace. So that's really what the change was. We changed the cul-de-sac to be a full paved turnaround at the end of the road. And we made a couple of small revisions to address what John's outstanding comments. So we added the percentage of the lot that was in the FEMA floodplain. We added, he recommended a single grade catch basin. We changed to a double grade catch basin. We made that change. And then unfortunately, the landscape architect we have been using, Tomasi, since the last hearing has passed away. So we made a change in landscape architects. You'll see that we have Sean Pappich, landscape architecture, that did the plan for us. It's substantially the same plan, but you'll see Sean's name on it instead of the Tomasi name. But otherwise, no plan of significance.
So if we want to talk about the cul-de-sac, I did have a joint conversation with the deputy fire chief and the fire chief. They're pretty happy with what's shown on the plan. They want the paved cul-de-sac. They do not want curbing on the cul-de-sac. And they say that the diameter it's a 55-foot diameter that's shown on the plan. They are satisfied with the 55-foot diameter. I mean, so I will condition that the pavement be pavement and such be a town standard, and that there be pavement all in, new pavement all in the fold. There'll be a saw cut, and they'll have to be radii to go into the pavement of McDonald Terrace. But they're satisfied with what's being shown for diameter, etc.
When he said no curbing, and curbing, but it's still like a Cape Cod berm or something.
No, they don't want any berm. They don't want curbing at all, because then they don't wanna have to drive over something.
And it's just the water.
Well, that's why I'm waiting for
Maybe you guys don't.
I'm waiting for the comments from John, but I mean, right now there's no curbing on McDonald Terrace at all. So I think that's consistent with what's there.
But it's not Cape either.
Yes, McDonald Terrace is okay. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
So
So where does the water go from?
Right now, water goes off the edge of McDonald Terrace, or goes to the end of McDonald Terrace, and the soil over there, A, is extremely gravelly, so it just kind of infiltrates along the shoulder of the road. Any surface runoff, beyond what infiltrates just goes down to the brook ultimately, because it's inland subject to coastal storm flow.
Two questions. What is the basic issue? And the other one is that the circulation, how it goes in and out. And what I would like to see done, I know that you had said that you wanted to do the parking lot separate. I'd like all the hot tub done at once, no matter where it goes on the project. Because we ran into a problem with the sea for another project, and we do not want to run into that again.
Sure, so that, so how we were phasing it was essentially with the binder code. The binder for the project goes down at one point, and then the binder that makes the connection to the Rivershed property goes on when we're ready to have traffic come through the site. The final top course can be all applied in one setting.
Can we do the
So-
binder roll at once though too, so that we have, is that true?
Let me look at that for you. We want to manage traffic in and out of the site so that we don't have the Rivershed coming through an active construction zone. But certainly the top coast can be applied in one code.
Yeah, because I.
Do you mean like the binder course, other than what the connection is to the river? Because in other words, you don't want that, you don't want that connection to this.
No, what I don't want, what Mr. Bush knows what I don't want is the two pieces not to be on the same,
You don't want to have a scene.
I don't want to see.
So maybe we just condition that the top coat has to be all done at one time so that there is no seam, and that it's all, that it's good.
Contiguous on them, yeah.
The fire department also stated that they want circulation through the project site during construction, so they don't have to back up. They want through circulation without backing up.
That can be.
I mean, that looks like it can be done, but I'm concerned with the phasing on that. I mean, but, so that will be a condition.
Sure.
Yes,
I'm not sure I understood the top coat. Isn't there a place where you would have to have a seat? Or are you repaving the whole,
Repaving the entire thing. So the
for
whole,
the dance studio and all that down?
No,
just the connector over to the dance studio.
Right, there'll be a seat here.
There'd be a scene, one scene.
but the project that we do, we don't want any systems to be in.
Well, they're doing that thing.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, to add on to that phasing, my concern is this. You have stated, that you're going to complete, we'll call it building A first. And then you will take down B. You will use the tandem parking as sort of the site for the developing, B. And I will sit here and tell you that I cannot in any way, shape, or form support it. Because having seen what has happened at Toll Brothers, have I seen what has happened at Curtis Estates, when things are done piecemeal, and people move in and there's all of this construction, and you have people living in building A, and they're dealing with major construction, and people in and out, and the dust, and the whole nine yards, I cannot support that. I really feel very strongly, when you do it all at once.
So could I make an observation about that as someone who's not an engineer? This is not a Toll Brothers, this is not a Curtis
I
Estate.
understand that.
So I don't understand I personally don't see how you would expect one crew to build two buildings.
At the same time.
I personally don't know how they would be able to do that without hiring an extra.
But if you are into this, you should be able to rip that other building down and have stuff go forward. It has to be done. You build two houses at the same time.
Not really.
And just a reminder, John operates his business
I
out of
said,
that building.
I understand, and I said early on that he doesn't live there, he could rent space and have his law office and his house. But I mean, I can't support it, I mean, the rest of it, it's okay. The other thing, I will not in any way, shape, or form, and I stated this from the video, I will not vote for tandem parking.
Then let me ask you a question. Tandem parking is extra parking, right?
But it's extra parking bill for building A. So you have parking for building A that's supposed to go into tandem if you're going to use the construction. It doesn't work, you don't have enough parking.
But if I think I'm trying to think this through, but the point I'm getting is, one of the other points, I think having extra spaces is a good thing. Because we had bought the NBA railroad, we could ask for a waiver and say, if there's any place in the world where there should be a reduction in parking, this is it. But we'd rather have the extra parking spaces. We said, if you're trying to encourage people to walk and be mobility, then you don't have it. But I view this as something that it's always good to have more parking than is required.
Again, you've been told, maybe I misunderstood, that parking spaces will be numbered and allotted to different units. And some of those units are in building A that will be using the tandem parking. So how, if you have tandem parking and then you wait to build building B, there's no parking for these people because you're using the tandem parking, because you said that's what you want to do, to construct this next thing. He did.
So all of the parking spaces on the site are assigned parking spaces.
Yes.
We wouldn't assign parking spaces to be parked in an active construction zone while building B is being built. We can't expect that building A is gonna be occupied 100% instantaneous.
But you still
So-
have to have the number of parking spaces for the full occupancy. And
Yes.
you don't have that without those tandem spaces. There's 4 extra parking spots.
Yes, there are.
And so, but you need some of those tandem spaces to make up the count for building A. So if you can tell us how that's, to make, for full occupancy of building A, you need some of those spaces. So if you can explain how that's gonna work, I think that's what some of us are grappling with.
So you wouldn't have full occupancy in the units on building A that are gonna be using those tandem parking spaces. You wouldn't occupy those unit A units until those tandem spaces are available.
But then why would you have all of this construction? You want people to move in because you said that you need the money from the first whatever, and yet people are living under construction. I wouldn't want to move into some place that was under construction, no way.
Well, the construction is actually gonna be rather minimal at that point. It's essentially a small home that's being built. All of the infrastructure of the parking lot will have been built, all of the utilities have been in, the water, the sewer will be in, all of the parking lot will be built, the grading will be done. It's literally the frame of
Why
the building.
can't you do it at the same time? If you're doing everything that you're saying that you're going to do, the infrastructure, the whole bit, and it's gonna be very quick, you're saying, you rip that building down, and within a month, you've got the structure.
It takes longer.
Well, whatever.
It really
Well,
does.
but a lot of it's driven in by construction financing, the Sullivan's Act. Maybe the development company, but the point is people don't, banks don't say, by the way, you have no cash flow, you have no occupants in the first building, so let's spend another $2 million to build the second.
So I lived in a construction zone for like almost 10 years. It was not pleasant, but not the original contractor, but the subsequent contractor did a very good job airing energy and dust and noise. And it was kind of okay, because I looked at the beginning and everybody had to go buy my house and everything, but, I think, I agree with you that we would find problems, but they're building more building than here. I understand it, understood the decision, but
Can I ask a question then? So how are you going to ask for an occupancy permit? Is it going to be based on full occupancy? Are you gonna ask for a temporary occupancy permit
What, for building, you mean?
for building A, for the front building? If you don't have the whole parking for the building, how are you gonna ask for a full occupancy permit?
Well, first of all, I don't want any building that didn't get a temporary occupancy. That's,
I think some of ours don't get temporary occupancy permits.
well, they must be miraculous. That's not my experience, but the point I'm getting at, I'm struggling with, in other words, we could ask for a waiver of 4 park spaces. How many tandem park spaces are there, Greg? 6? 6. Right. So what are we talking about? 2 spaces?
7, it's 14. 7
Yes.
times 2 is 14 spaces.
Excuse me, so 3. So what we're really talking about is 3 spaces, right? Because if you want to get rid of the extra 4 spaces which you have, that's really what we're talking about. So in an overall parking element of this, that's a enormous.
so you know that what we're struggling with is that, right across the street from you, they didn't finish that project. You know that, and that's, I think, people have been on the board for a long time, struggling with this. You said you're gonna do the whole thing. Now, we went through that with Toll Brothers, and we questioned whether they were gonna get all their phasing, and they did. And they should. I think that perhaps some people here are a little gun shy because of what's happened in the past. So we have to kind of take what you heard, that you are going to do the building, so that you're going to live there. I'm assuming that you're going to make sure your house is built.
I'm not gonna live there,
Well, that's what your
I'm
office is
gonna
doing.
work
Okay, so you want to make sure that that's done. So I know that that's a legal thing, but whatever.
Right, but we talked about last time
Yeah.
making a condition
Yeah.
that if, phase 2 has to be started within 6 months of phase 1 completion, barring extreme circumstances, and, I put some wording in the decision about that, so that
That's a fair.
it's a fair condition to protect the board. And so, and it'll require a modification hearing if they don't build it, because it would be a modification.
But again, looking at this traffic flow, you're occupying building A and you have the parking spaces across from building A, and then you're having your construction come in, go across the back of building A and around the corner to the new one that's being ripped down. I have a real problem with that. It's all,
But the logistics of this are because the first thing was, if you don't want us coming down McDonald Terrace, which we agreed to, we can take care of that easy. We can down McDonald Terrace like everyone else who was done construction on that street. So we're the outlier here of, no, we can't do that other than one-time spot or whatever. So I just think, or whatever, I think it's a good project, it's been well designed, it's been well thought out, it's been phased out. We've done everything you could possibly accommodate. I think it's a great attribute to the town of Scituate for the other things we have here, but at some juncture, say, okay, we have 4 extra parking spaces, so or we say, well, we'd like to ask the board to exercise the discretion and eliminate the tandem parking spaces, which I just think hurts the occupants and the residents.
First of all, I thought building B was gonna park in tandem. Some of building B is gonna park in tandem?
Building B parks in the tandem, but then there are spaces for building A as well that will be
So in that corner, they would probably be to the right-hand corner on what I'm looking at.
Correct,
Closer
closest to the MBTA. Yeah.
And how many spaces do they have? 4?
So
I didn't want to say
building,
4, I mean 2 tandems.
yeah, so building B is gonna take up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's gonna take up at least the first 5 tandem spaces. So building A will take up the last 2 tandem spaces.
Wait a minute.
Correct.
I thought there was only 6 units in building
B,
B,
yes, there is.
and 4 of them are 2-bedroom units.
Yes,
So the 2-bedroom units each have two,
two spaces.
two spaces.
So those take up 4 of them.
Okay, all right, yep. I'm on the same wavelength, yep.
So that's what I thought, most of them are gonna go to building B.
Yeah.
So you really have 2 spots over here, yes.
Can you back up, you said there's 6 units, doesn't each unit have a parking space?
Each unit has at least 1 parking space, the 2-bedroom units have 2. So those are the tandems.
Those are 10, because so 6 of the 7 are taken up by building B.
Five.
Five and the 7 is taken up.
Well, hasn't some,
How does that math work? I'm sorry, you said there's 6 units.
So not all 6 units in building B are 2-bedroom units.
No, I get
So-
that, but if there are 7
So,
tandem spaces,
yes.
you're not gonna have 2 units parked behind each other.
No.
No.
So those other tandem spaces would be designated to a 2-bedroom unit in building A.
So where
So that
they,
they're
where
front
they
back.
go?
So then the building B single units, the building B single units would have designated parking in the middle here where you have actual single parking spaces.
So you have the 2 bedrooms, 1, 2, 3, 4.
And then there are 3 in building A that are tandem.
Correct.
Where's your parking for,
So
mixed use? It was all taken up by the residents.
Right, garage.
Mixed use has 4 garage spaces as well as exterior parking up here.
So there are 4, so the 3 spaces that are in building A are for 2-bedroom units.
Yes.
So you're okay that those 3 2-bedroom units couldn't be occupied till you finish?
Yes.
Or couldn't they give them those spaces until building B's done? So you're gonna have 3 spaces over here someplace, or 2 spaces over here.
4. You need
Well,
6,
I'm sorry, how many
But
bedrooms?
you're-
you need 6 spaces for
You're correct, those spaces would be available.
So
We're
the,
back up there.
so
they need 6. 3, they have 3 tandem parking spaces, 6 spaces.
you know what? Maybe let's just move it, that's fine.
No, I'm just saying, if the parking's not
The
available,
rentals, right?
then those would be occupied.
So if the tandem parking spaces, there's 3 tandems that go in building A.
It's true.
3.
3 tandem.
We just said 3, right?
Building A.
Right, and we have 4 extra spaces. So 4 of those 6 parking spaces, we already have the parking. What you're really talking about is 2 parking spaces.
I don't, sorry, I don't get that.
We have 4,
Why do you have 4
we have
extra
4
spaces?
extra spaces, all right? And if,
Why do you have 4 extra
Where?
spaces?
Tell me
What does
where
that
they
mean?
are.
Because
because that's the design.
Where are they?
So the parking, the
They're
zoning.
in the building.
Sure, so the zoning bylaw requires 35, we have 38 proposed throughout the site. That's 3.
Right,
That's
so that's
three.
what you asked for.
Right, 3
You
extra.
haven't
Yeah.
asked for 35.
No, we asked for,
Okay,
we
you asked
asked
for
for 38,
The rest
right,
of
so
them are-
You don't have extra, you said 38.
we have access. For the zoning bylaw.
They have access to what is required by the zoning bylaw, I
Yeah,
agree.
they're not asking to give them back.
No, they're not asking to give them back,
Roofing.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
It's coming.
It's here.
So the point is, I get the math right, everyone's worried about building a where you're gonna park unless the parking space is there. What you're talking about is because of the fact we have 3 extra spaces and the tandem includes 6, what you're really talking about is there's 3 spaces in building A that until that parking is completed, that's the shortage. So it's not like it's 6 spaces, 8 spaces, or anything. It's a pretty small amount.
Can I ask one, how far is it from, how the tandem spaces from one side to the other, how many feet is that?
From one side to the other. 7 times
Mine is 63. Right, 63 feet.
63 feet.
From
Yeah.
apartment A
So-
over to the tandem, is that what you said?
The width of the parking is 63 feet, parking spaces.
So even if they really had, I mean, I don't know, maybe they could need a couple spaces if they needed to. I don't know what you're saying. I don't, I can tell by the way you're looking at me.
I don't know where,
I have 63 feet, right? And it's 9 feet,
but that's where the construction parking is going for when they're
so
building.
they'll
building.
need all that for
So they need all that because they probably have to fence it off to make, for, health, safety and welfare.
Just, we wouldn't occupy
There's
all
no
of the.
parking available then for tenants who wanna occupy building A. Then you can't let them move in.
Right.
I think that's fundamentally the answer, right? With parking available, they mark the spot for them. And it's up to you guys to police that. I did have a question for you. One of the findings of facts or standards is about minimizing fill. And so I guess I'd like to get some input from you guys on how you did that in this particular development.
Sure. When we design a project like this, one of the first things we do is we look at the topography of the land. In this case here, a portion of the front of the property is located in the floodplain. So as such, we try to minimize any fill in the floodplain so that we're not offsetting floodwaters. As I stated earlier, the Conservation Commission approved this ultimately because we're not offsetting floodwaters, so we've minimized fill within that floodplain area. The remainder of the site, what we do for the design is we go out, we excavate test pits to determine the groundwater table. We then design the drainage system, which has to be a certain elevation above the groundwater table. That's a certain thickness, and then that has to be buried at a certain depth below the pavement to achieve traffic loading and weight loading over the drainage system. So that's what we did. We reverse engineered, we determined the groundwater table, we designed the drainage system to be basically a minimum setback, and then we go up to minimum setback to the parking lot. You'll see that the grades on this site essentially mimic the existing grades that are out there now. We're not bringing in significant fill, we're not changing the grade up here significantly.
So is it pretty balanced that fill then? Or
It's,
is it all fill?
no, it is pretty balanced. If you look, for example, in the middle of the site, right here, Steve, there's an existing contour at elevation 19. Our finished grade here is elevation 18.3, so it's under a foot of cut right in the middle of the site. At the front corner of the building here, the existing grade, this is a 16 contour. We're bringing it up to elevation 18, right along the street, so it's approximately 2 feet there. But it's all extremely close to what the existing grades are out here.
So do you have a calculation of the balance is between cut and fill?
I didn't do a cut and fill analysis, no.
Can you give us that number?
Sure.
Analysis?
Would you say that you're not bringing, I mean, the areas where you're filling more than a generalization, 1 feet, 2 feet? I'm just.
At the most, it's probably 2 feet along the front of the building. The rest of it's all less than that.
You can just give us.
I can give you a number. Yep.
So I'm gonna give you the same chart that we give to everybody else. This is our gateway, we want to look great, we want to look nice, we want that whole thing. We start through, this is our fourth generation in this new area. So we know what we're looking for, what we want it to look like. That's great, as it is their gateway. So, anything else, Karen?
No, I think they've answered some of my questions. The lighting plan, will the commission, the light standard that's shown on the lighting plan? So, you know, it'll be standard cutoff, you know, dark sky, standards, no light shining on other property. All right, can you go over just one thing, can you go over how is circulation? I was reading the traffic report again, and it said they didn't really want signage, they wanted, how is the directional, how is it gonna be handled directionally?
There's signage within
There's
the landscape, there's also pavement markings.
So it's gonna be signage and pavement markings?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's, if you recall, it used to be 3 lanes, 2 exits and 1 in, we reduced that down, 1 in and 1 out. We're providing pavement markings with the crosswalk, we have a one-way sign, directing traffic one way around the parking lot. You come to a stop sign, to a stop line, same at this location, this is the connection to the Berkshire property.
Okay, and you have the double yellow center line,
Yes.
there. One thing that I was a little concerned about, show a truck turning radius going into 17 New Driftway.
Yep.
You don't show the turning radius, you don't show it coming out. That's only a 15-foot radius there. Can a delivery truck get out of 17 New Driftway with a 15-foot radius?
Yes, it should be able to, I can give you a turning radius
Can
on
you
that.
give me a turning radius for that, just,
No
I mean,
problem.
I just don't want a delivery truck to get stuck into 17 New Driftway and and really have to go in the lanes when people are coming into this site right here. I did take a peek at the landscape plan, and I didn't have, it's standard, so.
One other question for you, if you're, are you done here?
Yeah, I'm done.
Can you sort of expand or articulate how you're gonna handle snow storage or snow here? Because I think we need to
Sure.
expand a little bit.
Sure, we designated an area on the plan here, as snow storage, it would all go in this island, which is, grass, open yard area.
All right, so how are you gonna protect the hydrant? That was a comment early on. You've got a fire hydrant.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a hydrant that would be sticking up. I imagine the plow driver's not gonna pile the snow on top of the hydrant. Just like anywhere else, we'd have to shovel out if it was buried, but, there was a hydrant in that island.
The drawings that you're looking for.
I'm looking at, page 5, site layout.
I assume you were just conditioning what you've been normally conditioning, if snow can't be stored on site, it has to be trucked off and legally disposed of.
The hydrant actually is outside of that snow storage area, it's almost adjacent to where it says CCD, but the plow operator's probably not gonna have this plan in front of them, that's where it's gonna go, they have to work around that.
So then ultimately, well, one of the conditions is going to be that you have to resubmit your O and M plan and put snow storage in your O and M plan so that when the property manager gets it, they will know kind of where snow management is gonna come. When I bought my house, my kid says I have to go on the hydrant. And then I just sent a picture, he does it all the time.
You have to shut up his hydrant.
No, in front of my house, is a hydrant, and it says,
That'd be a condition if you
want to
want.
shut it out. No, I'm gonna condition that. I'm not asking for any, I mean, he wants to have it filled, I don't want any more. I think that you've got the majority of other things on the plan and, you know, John will get to it, early next week, and then we'll know where we're going.
So the snow storage is that dotted line
Yes,
to the sort of the west of the curve.
yep,
So the idea is a snow plow would pick it up over the curb, put it on. Is that grass?
correct,
Yes.
yes.
You all set? Sarah, you ready?
All right, so based on the public hearing, August tenth going to be, the application is going to be withdrawn. Our big one on August tenth, who I wouldn't subject anybody to being on the same night as them. I think this will all wrap up in the next 2 weeks, and August tenth would be a good night to have continued public hearing.
Okay.
So everyone's gonna be here on August tenth, right?
Oh, yeah.
It is a regular
It's a
planned
regular planning board meeting.
meeting, but let's just make sure. We're anticipating Mr. McLean will be here for that meeting.
Right. I think we can get it together by then.
So this is a public hearing, is there anyone online? Go in here.
If there's anyone on Zoom that would like to make any comments right now, would be the time for your public comment. You can raise your hand or hit *9 if you're on telephone, and we'll take public comment at this time. Has no comment.
Did you all say?
I move to accept the applicant's request to continue the public hearing for site plan administrative review and special permit for mixed-use building and multi-family building and stormwater permit in the Village Center and Neighborhood District, Greenbush Gateway District, Greenbush Village Center Sub-District and Gateway Business District, BCN, GEG, GEC, and GWB until August 10th, 2023 at 7 p.m. and to continue the time of action filing with the town clerk until September 29th, 2020.
Wait a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, most of the conditions are resulting from the planning board's been burnt. If you wanna look at 7 New Driftway, it's online, and you know the conditions from Seaside and Scituate. So it's a combination and plus other things specifically for this project.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is that, but what I'm saying,
No,
so we're not asking redundant, stupid questions, so.
no, you will get something ahead of time.
Good.
When are you leaving, so I know when, who to send it to?
As of next, week from today.
Copy it, I'll copy both.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I have scheduled. So, Form A and A&R plan, but there is Black Road is a re-sign, a land court application, assessment map law, 144-2-28. On the eighth, Mr. Carter?
No.
So what happened was they, like land court request changes all the time. And so none of the boundaries didn't change. They just want to, but a couple other things changed, so they want you to, re-sign Mylars, for land court. You've done it before, on several other projects, so it's just a, you're re-endorsing.
I move to endorse as approval under the subdivision control law not required, a plan in Scituate, Mass. Approval not required land court worksheet 133 Flat Road by Shane
M. Brenner, professional land surveyor, of property design group dated 5/4/2023, with revisions through 7/23/23 for applicant CDG 133 Black Street
Yes, that's what they did, that's development.
LLC, care of Gabe Proper as the division of land is not a subdivision because every lot shown on the plan has frontage of at least distance presently required by the Scituate zoning bylaw on the public way of Thomas Clapp Road, a scenic road. Land court requested changes to the original plan, but meets and bounds did not change.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Does something need to be signed for that?
Yeah, afterwards,
But it's just Kathy, right?
yes.
All right, old business, new business, correspondence, administrative items.
Alright, so the first is an update on the MBTA communities. We've been working with our consultants, and we've had 3 meetings so far. Basically, our meeting yesterday resulted in them telling us we need to probably go 18 units per acre in North Scituate and 17 units per acre in the 3 other districts in Greenbush would give us 1,275 units.
Wow.
We need 1,239. Why it jumps up from 17 all over the board is because you have to subtract out parking areas. And MAPC didn't subtract out the parking areas. So after our meeting with it's Golds and Associates, we're dealing with Laura Speed. We asked her to run a couple other scenarios today. We asked her to run a scenario where the North River neighborhood and the GWB district are put at 18 units per acre, and Greenbush Village Center in North Scituate are at 16 units per acre. And then we asked her to run North Scituate Outer Village at 18, North River Neighborhood at 18, and whatever the other 2 districts, whether they could be 16 or 17. The reason for that is we try to look at the exposure that we have in Greenbush. Right now, we know that we have several sites that are currently under, they're gonna have decisions before this happens. So is anybody willing to go back and re-permit it? And, they even could be partially under construction by then. We think that there's only possibly 3 sites in Greenbush that are really available for development. And so why not make them a little bit denser? That was the philosophy. So the North River neighborhood, you have the Russo property, isn't it? I mean, you're not gonna.
Which one's that?
Alright, that's- The North River neighborhood is where James Landing is, it's where Life Care is, it's where the Riverway is.
Lot down past the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yes. Right. So that is prime for development. It has some issues, but it's prime for development. And
In that low line. Isn't that
It
pretty
is.
low?
it is, it's all in the floodplain, so somebody would have to deal with floodplain issues. You have the Mossing Museum site that potentially could get redeveloped, I don't know how likely that is. But I mean, you have very few sites in the North River neighborhood that are likely to face redevelopment. And that's why we said, why don't we see what the numbers look like and with that philosophy. But, so, I just kind of like to know some of your thoughts on that philosophy. Right now, I put at least myself and Patty and Shari to meet with the select board on September 12th to start going over where we are, what the consultant says, we knew we had to increase density, and we're trying to do it in a way that is least obtrusive to the town. And we do not want to change the other parameters. We don't want to change height. We don't want to be granting a lot of bonuses for other stuff, because, you know, when we did the zoning, we liked what, we did it for Scituate. But then this MBTA stuff came along, but the next time we meet with the consultants at the end of August, they will have, they're starting to look at what exactly in the zoning do we have to change to make the zone work.
How many units are we?
Right now, in your Scituate, we allow 15 units per acre by right, 24 by special permit. We're talking about either potentially having it at, 16 or 18. We're not talking about changing the 24, we're talking about changing the density by right. In Greenbush right now, the North River neighborhood, the GBC and the GWB are all at 12 units per acre by right. 24 by special permit. We can't count our NDTV district, that's the one that's right at the train station, because we have mandatory mixed use, because we have a pedestrian frontage zone. And there's been no change in the legislation yet.
Have we talked to our?
Yes.
Selectmen?
No, actually, I talked to the state,
We had a meeting with them back in March. That's right. Yeah, we did. We had a meeting with them in March, and we're kind of waiting for some action. I mean, we know that our representative is working behind the scenes to try to help us. We do know that.
And that almost makes it seem like, Cohasset has the same problem, because they put near the MBTA, right, they've got condos or apartments, I don't know, up above, you know, I'm thinking about right before the MBTA
Yeah.
on 3, so they must, we can't be the only.
No, we're not the only community who has this problem, and, we can't, if we can't count that district, we can't count that district, because you're trying to create an area that is vital, and you need mixed-use services to make an area vital. I mean, we tell people that, and they're like, are you kidding me? They're not allowing mandatory mixed use, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We're also asking,
Okay.
She just said,
She's okay.
she's okay.
So that's what the issue is, that like when they did the legislation, they go, oh, maybe we should have schools. So I spoke with Patrick several times, and he's trying to get us a housing guy, so, we're still working on it, just better. In summertime, I think it'll change it.
but the rapid transit has to comply by the end of this year, so I can't imagine that some of the rapid transit communities aren't having some of the same problem. But, I mean, we have brought attention to it, and, I think at this point, we have to proceed. Like, they're not going to change it. We have to be having our public hearings in December for this. We have to have final wording to select board by January, I think 10th is the date. Ridiculous. So,
Just to go back to your original question, so you were proposing that some of these, the North River District and stuff go up to 18 or whatever. I would say that in that particular case, I would not encourage that,
okay,
because I don't think we should encourage development right on the flood zone there,
okay,
because it's only gonna get worse. So I would say we're gonna focus somewhere, we should focus somewhere that's not gonna be susceptible to future flooding.
okay.
What is their flood zone now, is it
It's
No, no, I know, but like how bad is it?
It's pretty well down there. There's
It's
about
pretty low
one.
down there and, you know.
How about the Scituate concrete pipe, is that included?
Climate change.
No, I just.
It's in a different district. We're not redistricting, we're not changing zoning districts.
But isn't this also, in one sense, an exercise in whatever, because these units may never be built.
That's right. It's only unit capacity.
Right, they may never be built.
Right, that's the challenge, is how you try to explain that to people.
Right,
Yeah, but if you make it as a right and somebody wants to build it, they're gonna come in here and try to build it, right? And so I think from the perspective of what our master plan is focused on, we should encourage development in flooded areas, in areas that are subject to flooding. That's my opinion, right? And yeah, maybe they'll never build there, but they probably shouldn't, right?
we have,
Maybe the density should be 2.
we have a lot of excluded land. Because you have to exclude the salt marsh, you have to
Yeah.
exclude the wetlands, you have to exclude,
It's
parking.
appropriate, yeah.
And you have to exclude the zone A, so it's. Yes, it's appropriate to exclude it.
And this woman has every iteration of everything to look at to see if we can get closest.
But I guess I wouldn't put the blinders on and say, you know, because whatever you do, you have to assume somebody will do it.
Of course they
You
will.
may say they may never, but you have to assume they will.
I mean, so my first impression was going from 15 to 18 in North Situate wouldn't be that bad.
I would agree with that.
And keeping 17 units per acre then in Greenbush, and maybe I can ask her if she can take NRM down to 60.
I mean, you know, in North Situate, they're gonna face, even if you make it available, they're gonna face the infrastructure problem in North Situate, right, for sewers.
Right, as I have been told that there will be an article on the warrant in April to find the engineering, et cetera, for sewer in North Situate.
If we try this,
That's what I've been told.
Every time I ask, I'm told the party line is 3 to 5 years, and so it would be in North Situate.
So again, once we get on engineering and, yeah, so that's just, yeah.
So if you increase the density there, then you have to size the sewer system to accommodate that.
Right,
And the water supply system.
right. So, I mean, we're trying to look for areas that gave us the least exposure, but, you know, I think you have a really good point, and, you know, she hasn't run these scenarios yet, I know she's planning on running them next week.
Mhm.
So I can ask her to do NRN at 16, North Scituate at 18, and then GVC, and GWB at 17.
So it's 18 per acre, is that?
Yeah.
What is that, generally 3 stories?
But you're allowed to 4 stories.
I thought we said it's got 3 stories.
No,
4 stories. Plus they're tight.
you're at 4 stories. But, you know, you have to can your piece of land, accommodate the development
Right.
and meet all the other requirements. That's something that you have to keep emphasizing to the applicants. Just because it says you can do it, doesn't mean your piece of land can accommodate it.
How do you get to 4 stories?
We allow 4
Yeah.
stories.
No, but I mean, how do you get to 4 stories if you've got a ceiling height of 8.5 feet or 8 feet? It seems like you're not gonna get 4 stories.
Well, Tedeschi's is 4 stories.
But you said 4 stories in North Scituate or just in Greenbush?
In a multifamily building, you can have 40 feet, 4 stories.
So close.
I guess I thought when you were at those meetings with all those people, they did not want 4 stories, but maybe I was wrong about that.
No, they don't want 4 stories. The abutters don't want 4 stories, but that doesn't mean that you're not zoning, you're allowing 4
Well,
stories.
you can get 18 units, 3 stories.
Yeah,
And that's by right.
Should be able to do that. Like 800 square feet per apartment.
Oh, that's tiny.
You can't swing
That's
that.
tiny. This will be your house.
Well, that's what's real.
I don't live in an apartment.
Yeah.
My daughter lives in one that's 450 square
Oh,
feet.
my goodness.
I mean, so I think it's, that's what you allow, but can your piece of land accommodate it is the whole thing. And, everybody's trying to tell you they have to maximize out because they have to meet your zoning. But we know that some of that is maybe a little bit untrue. They have their certain profit that they wanna make. And, that's what's driving some of their things. I mean, you have to have affordable units, you have to have, if you're asking for a density bonus, you have to give a public benefit. You have to give your density bonus.
Well, you don't have to give a density bonus, which is, kind of like, play that game with us, but you have nothing else.
Right, the board does not have to grant a density bonus. One of the things that we're asking the consultant to look at is they don't want more than 10% affordability. And so if you have more than 10% affordability like we do, the town might have to do an economic feasibility analysis. We told our consultant that whatever information she needs, we'll get her, but we have 4 projects before us now that doesn't seem to be phasing them, that they have to do 20% affordable, because they want a density bonus. I mean, so we'll know a lot more next time, but this is where we are right now.
Why do I have the sense that we're being penalized for actually being thinking ahead and doing the right thing?
We are being penalized because it's about housing, it's not about affordable housing. This mandate is about housing.
Then bring back triple deckers.
Well,
Well, I mean, that's effectively what we're doing.
that's effectively what you're doing with a multifamily house.
Triple layers.
You're just you're just hoping that they're designing these multifamilies to look nice and accommodating, so so Scituate maintains its character, and it's not Weymouth or, Quincy, or that's what you're trying to get out of these projects. You want the character of Scituate maintained.
This whole thing is MBTA, one size does not fit all.
We know that.
We know that, but
So they're trying to develop it around
they want to
transit
smart
stations,
around it.
right, which, it seems like a little more density around there is acceptable and we're already doing it, right? We're doing it pretty well. So
Those don't
Seems
count,
fine.
do they? Those units that
Not
we built.
all of them.
They can't make it, we can't count that district. We can't count that Drew property district because it's the pedestrian frontage zone.
That's
I'm gonna have faith.
Well,
We keep saying that, other people keep telling us that's a pipe. So we'll see who says it's a pipe.
part of creating additional housing should be about creating, a vibrant sort of community that is located,
Right.
not just,
Right.
seat houses, right?
Right, because you're trying to encourage people to live there and not have their cars, well, then you gotta have a restaurant, you gotta have a market.
Exactly.
Diversity,
It will
right?
explain that.
You've explained that to them.
That's what agree with us, and then there are other people who have jumped and going for a long time, they say, they've already made the decision, move on, they're not gonna change their mind. I don't believe that, I think they will change their mind. I think there'll be so much pushback, they're gonna have to change their
And
mind.
this whole idea of not more than 10% affordability, that makes
makes no sense either, because you need. I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah, and he's not,
And we're gonna try for a waiver, because as you see, it's not stopping these projects.
and she said she would.
She said she would look into it. So that's where we are on MBTA communities, and it, we'll probably be talking about it at every meeting, most every meeting from here on out. We've been meeting about once a month, with the work group. And the work group, as you know, is Patty, myself, Shari, Karen Connolly, and Jim Hoover. So,
Are we ready for minutes? I move to approve the meeting minutes for July 13th, 2023, and July 18th, 2023.
For a second,
Second.
all in favor?
I'm saying item 13.
And we have to pay people. I move to approve the requisition of $533.90 from Wesley Witten Group for peer review for services at Seaside Scituate. Whoa, only one.
Second.
All in favor? I do not need any vote this week at all. Sherry, where do we stand on something for our alternate?
We've received 2 applications, one being the yes, and what other, Morber, and then I can't recall the other gentleman's name. We've only
Callahan?
received 2.
Yes.
Callahan's last name, I believe it's Kevin. First name. Those are the only 2 we've received. We did have it in the paper, as good as the post in there in our paper is. And we posted it all over social media, but we'll be posting it on social media next week. I don't have control over that, so.
so we're proposing to do the interviews on August 24th.
And was there a resume or something?
Yeah, we'll get you.
We'll get you all that
We'll
for the
get you
24th
resumes
meeting.
and we'll get you the questions that we've asked in the past, and then you can develop your own questions, as well, but.
We have updated development report.
Okay, we are very, very busy, so we'll be interviewing on the 24th alternates. Dan Fennelly wants to come in and talk about CPC projects for the fall town meeting. Do you,
I have no clue.
In terms of,
he's not, Shari, we don't know, Shari's been asking him and she's not getting much answer. I asked Nancy today what's on the agenda, and she thinks it's the 5 tennis courts at the high school.
Yeah.
She thinks it may be something with the purple dinosaur. She thinks that there may be pickleball courts.
No,
And,
so that right now, no.
One voice.
well, the way they wanna put it is not a good spot. But so, I don't know exactly what the project's, but you want us to let him know that he can come on the 24th?
I think it's more just information he wants to provide to you, that he says he's come here every meeting, but I can't recall that that's happened, so. I know he's come a couple times to talk about it before a town meeting.
I just don't recommend you do support letters, because if the project ever has to come back before you, I think it just listen. Yeah, I think a listen.
yeah, it would be more advisory in nature than it is.
Right.
I see they're going full guns at Central School. Lots of equipment up there.
Yeah, they're working on the field, right. So, like I said, small cells are being withdrawn. The local action units are recorded at Drew now, so, the next step is for them to get the as-built and CFO. There's flyers around for the lottery, so we're we're winding down.
How much of those quarters rented for, do you know?
It's in the hall, I think a one bedroom was what, 1,900?
Oh,
A two bedroom was like
This
2,200.
is that Drew?
same as at the, sanctuary.
We've got 12 Carriage Houseway wants to do a pool. I got a price for peer review. Are you gonna want them to come in and talk to you? Like the other two pools you did?
Absolutely.
Okay. 93 Elm Street, lots 5 and 6, they've submitted, some, modification. They want
Where is it?
93 Elm Street, lots 5 and 6. That was a common driveway and stormwater permit.
Okay.
They want to change the house a little bit, and they want to change the common, they want more turnaround for a driveway. Is that something you want to see, or shall I just handle it?
Are they updating the stormwater?
Yes, and it's gonna all be peer reviewed.
Yeah, I mean, you said you think it's a material change.
I don't think it's that, I mean, it's a change that they have to submit stuff, but I think.
Yeah, as long as it meets all of the same set of requirements and stuff.
Okay, and that's the same, Laurelwood number 4, lot 4, number 7, they're looking for a modification as well. And so, they're looking to put some of the stuff underground chambers versus a detention basin. I'm getting, peer review on that, so unless you really wanna see it, I'll handle that internally.
So remind me of that one, Laurel,
Laurelwood,
West End.
West
the
End,
West End.
Yeah.
And it's one house out of many.
there was 3 lots that we did stormwater permits for,
Uh-huh.
so this is the middle one.
And the stormwater system is contiguous for the whole, for all 3 lots.
No, each one has their own
Oh,
stormwater
they
system.
all, okay.
They're all
That's
adults, okay.
I mean,
So-
that would be good.
Yeah, no. All right, Laurelwood number 5, lot 9. That's been sold. I have a pre-con scheduled for Monday. One of the things that we conditioned was a new plan prior to a building permit with a sequence of construction, so that they do some of the drainage first. But what I'm going to do, I wanna ask them for a sequence of construction. I don't necessarily need a new plan. Give me a sequence of construction that, I think you can do some of the drainage and work on the house at the same time, but I've made it crystal clear, and I'll make it crystal clear in the pre-con. Absolutely no soapy water going to the road, you will be shut down.
Mhm.
So I think you can do things simultaneously, so.
We're going to their use.
Right, so I think that'll be progressing. I sent a traffic scope, did anyone, if you have any comments, please get me comments on the traffic scope. And the last thing is, I negotiated, with town council, we negotiated for stormwater permits for 334. CJC lots 2 and 3. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. So, that's pretty much all I have to report. We remain extremely busy. We actually have we have a stormwater public hearing next time. We have to make changes, there are administrative changes to the stormwater regulations. They have to do with 53G and 53G1/2. So, town council is saying we need to get them done basically ASAP. Town council also thinks we need to develop planning board regulations. We don't really seem to have planning board regulations. Like ZBA has regulations for comprehensive permits, Conservation Commission has regulations. Well, it really these regulation changes, it would be regulations to say you can have outside peer review. have all the things that you're doing. That's, but just put it into a formalized regulation.
Oh, let's have more work to do. For you.
And we're getting, Kevin Freitag is leaving Murphy Hesse, and so we will be assigned a new town council.
Really?
Yes.
It's too much for them.
So I did meet with them the other day. So, you know, we'll be assigned a lead guy and kind of like, an assistant to go for guy who does a lot of the work. So, we've already met them and, you know, we've already met them and, you know, next step.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.